My daughter is joining the company, so I need you to resign. Today is your last day. It was the morning of the 20th when Arthur, the current CEO, abruptly delivered the news of my dismissal. I was stunned, words failing me. The 20th was our payment day for suppliers. While some long-standing vendors were paid via bank transfers, I personally handled direct payments and visited others as a courtesy. You look like you can go home right away. I'll give you the day off, just for you, so leave quickly, Arthur continued, practically ushering me out. The office door slammed shut with a definitive snap, right in front of my face. I stood there, utterly bewildered, unsure where to even begin arguing. A decade of dedication. My name is Clara. I joined this family-owned construction company, Stellar Construction, right after high school and worked as an administrative assistant for 10 years, that is, until moments ago. The company had about 20 employees. When Mr. Davies, the founder, was the CEO, the workplace atmosphere was excellent. It was a comfortable and supportive environment. Mr. Davies, now retired, worked closely with the younger employees, and his wife, Eleanor, would come in daily to help with various tasks until his recent hospitalization. Their daughter, Vivian, was skilled in both fieldwork and office management. Her husband, David, served as the site manager and was highly respected by the on-site crew. Despite being the founding family, they never acted superior or looked down on any employee. It would have been wonderful if this harmonious and smoothly running company life had continued, but unfortunately, reality wasn't so kind. The prodigal son's return. Late last year, Mr. Davies was diagnosed with cancer during the company's annual health checkup. He decided to retire as CEO and appointed David, the site manager and his son-in-law, as the next leader. Both the employees and I unanimously agreed with this decision. We all believed Mr. Davies should focus on his treatment and wished him a long life. However, unexpectedly, Mr. Davies' eldest son, Arthur, suddenly appeared with his family. I didn't know where he had heard the news from. It turned out Mr. Davies had another child besides Vivian. Arthur had been estranged for about 30 years, a fact I was completely unaware of. According to senior employees, Arthur had been a troublemaker in his youth, often having run-ins with the police. Whenever he caused problems, Mr. Davies and Eleanor would go and apologize on his behalf. After dropping out of high school, he got involved in multi-level marketing schemes and fraudulent activities, which ultimately led Mr. Davies to disown him. Despite being out of touch for a long time, Arthur suddenly appeared one day, pleading with his father, "Dad, I've realized my mistakes. Please forgive me." I was shocked to witness this in our small company, where the CEO's office and the administrative room were one and the same. Arthur expressed a desire to reconcile and work in the company, but his past made it hard to believe his sincerity. Despite disowning him, I apologized to everyone, but I ask you to give Arthur another chance, Mr. Davies pleaded with everyone present. Vivian and the senior employees knew about Arthur's troublesome history and couldn't fully celebrate his return, but they couldn't refuse Mr. Davies' heartfelt request either. So, Arthur and his family moved into the annex of Mr. Davies' house, with Arthur becoming an employee and his wife taking on household duties. I saw their daughter, Serena, only once when she visited the company. She seemed to be a college student. Mr. Davies genuinely believed Arthur had changed for the better after facing hardships in life. Eleanor was overjoyed that Arthur had returned with his family, talking about rebuilding the company together. However, soon after, a problem emerged. Arthur insisted, "I'm the eldest son, so I should be the next CEO," he declared, straining his relationship with Vivian and David. Despite pretending to work diligently in front of Mr. Davies, Arthur actually did very little. He frequently made demeaning remarks like, "Physical labor is for the workers," and "You're all just worker ants. Work silently." Naturally, his behavior quickly made him unpopular with everyone. Some of the younger employees even went directly to Mr. Davies, saying, "I can't work under these conditions." However, both Mr. Davies and Eleanor pleaded with everyone, saying, "We will talk to Arthur about this. Please try to see the bigger picture." The shift in power. Then, Due to stress or other reasons, Mr. Davies' cancer suddenly worsened, and he was hospitalized. 3 months ago, Arthur declared, "I am the CEO." Despite employees advising Mr. Davies and Eleanor to stick with their original plan of appointing David as CEO, they ultimately chose Arthur, their biological son, over their daughter's husband. This decision sparked grumbling among some employees who felt Mr. Davies and Eleanor were biased by parental love or losing their sharpness with age. The once harmonious company atmosphere turned tense and uncomfortable. As tensions grew, Vivian and David began working behind the scenes to manage the company. This left me alone, handling all administrative tasks. Whereas before, Eleanor, Vivian, and I shared the workload, now I regularly worked overtime, sometimes leaving so late that the date changed before I headed home. Meanwhile, Arthur seemed to view administrative duties as effortless, spending his days at entertainment venues, betting on horses, or gambling. My relationship with Arthur took a serious downturn over an expense issue. He had been using the company's credit card for personal dining and entertainment expenses, and I had been overlooking it to some extent. However, this time, the expense crossed a line. With apprehension, I handed the receipt back to him. "I can't approve this expense," I told him. "What? Why not?" he demanded. "This is for your wife's premium ergonomic posture correctors. It's not related to business, so it can't be expensed." As expected, Arthur's face flushed with anger. "Don't challenge me. She's the CEO's wife. It's natural for her to dress well. This is a valid expense." "No, that's not how it works. Your wife's posture correctors can't be considered a business expense," I stammered, struggling to comprehend how the CEO could justify a $4,000 expense for his wife's luxury items. His next suggestion left me even more bewildered. "Then let's turn selling posture correctors into our new business venture. We'll categorize it as inventory, so it counts as an expense." Arthur seemed pleased with his idea, but I was at a loss for words. "We're a construction company," I managed to say. "So what? We can threaten clients that if they don't buy from us, we'll cancel their contracts. Everyone will buy. It's easy money. $2,000 for one, $4,000 for a set." Arthur chuckled loudly, but I felt horrified. "That's absolutely unacceptable. It will damage our credibility." I snapped at him in anger. From that moment on, I became the target of Arthur's disdain. Day after day, I endured constant haranguing from him. The situation became so difficult that I considered quitting many times. However, I continued to endure and work, driven by my loyalty to Mr. Davies, who had always supported me, and my concern for the team who would struggle if I left. The truth was, I couldn't afford to lose my job suddenly either. I decided to tough it out until the right moment to move on. But then, unexpectedly, I was fired. The strategic retreat. If I quit abruptly now, it will cause problems for our clients, I thought to myself. Taking a deep breath, I gathered my courage and confronted Arthur. "I can't do this. I can't just leave without proper notice and handover. Even your daughter wouldn't be able to handle the workload. Besides, today is the day we need to handle payments," I said in one breath, fully expecting Arthur to erupt in anger. As expected, his face turned red. "Shut up. I told you to resign because my daughter is joining the company. Today is your last day. As for the payments, let them wait until they come to collect it. There's no need to pay them up front." "Excuse me, isn't it normal to pay for something once you buy it?" I was shocked and explained it patiently, as if talking to a child. But Arthur responded with something so unreasonable that I couldn't believe he was being rational. "If that's the case, just threaten to switch suppliers. Tell them we won't make the payment this time, so they should give it to us for free." "What? That's not something we can do, is it?" I was so stunned that I couldn't find the right words to respond. "You're completely useless. My daughter has a college degree, she can handle office work easily. As family, she won't question my expenses like you do. You're all talk and no action." We don't need someone like you in our company. Leave now. Arthur sneered. It seemed clear he intended for his daughter, Serena, to handle accounting so he could justify personal expenses as business expenses. Oh, is that so? Just remember, I won't regret this, I replied. Words were futile at this point, my patience had worn thin. I quickly gathered my belongings and left the company, feeling sorry for our clients. I called Vivian. Despite knowing Eleanor and Vivian were busy with Mr. Davies, this was urgent. I explained everything and entrusted the rest to Vivian. Once I left the company, I suddenly found myself with nothing to do. Being fired without notice clearly violated labor standards laws. If I reported this to the Labor Standards Office, the company would be in trouble. Since our company was part of a state-sponsored fund for displaced workers, I could claim my severance pay and 1 month's salary. This system supports small and medium-sized enterprises that can't afford severance pay on their own. I didn't need to rush because I could apply within 5 years from my retirement date, and the Labor Standards Office had a 2-year statute of limitations. With my professional habits, I planned out the necessary procedures and timeline for my claim. I decided I could take it easy for at least a week. Lately, I had been working overtime and weekends non-stop, leaving no time for myself. At home, there were many places I wanted to visit once I settled down, so I chose to go on a day trip to the beach for a refreshing break. After enjoying myself at the beach, I checked my phone in the locker and found several missed calls, emails, and voicemails. Among them, Vivian's email caught my attention. It said, "The payment process went smoothly. Everything is in order." I felt relieved. Despite the abruptness of my dismissal by Arthur, I couldn't shake the guilt of leaving my job in anger. Next, I listened to the voicemail from the company. It was the panicked voice of Arthur saying, "Hey, what's going on? They're saying I'm not the real CEO. Did you know about this? Explain yourself." After chuckling at his realization, I continued to check my emails and voicemails. Among them was a message from Mr. Davies, so I promptly headed to the hospital. The revelation. Arriving at the hospital room that evening, I found Eleanor and Arthur already there. As soon as Mr. Davies saw me, he greeted me from his bed. "Clara, I'm truly sorry for my foolish son." "Hey, what's going on? I'm not the official CEO. Explain yourself." Arthur shouted arrogantly, clearly not understanding the situation. Mr. Davies quickly silenced him with a stern command, "Quiet down." It turned out that right after I had called Vivian, she promptly informed Mr. Davies and Eleanor. Upon receiving the news, Mr. Davies immediately contacted Arthur, who was acting as CEO, and asked, "Do you really not know anything? So what's the truth?" I calmly explained to Arthur, who was still shouting in confusion. "Arthur, you didn't have any legal authority. Your role as CEO was just a title. It might seem confusing, but in business terms, CEO is a position within the company and doesn't hold legal standing like a representative director does. The representative director is the one legally responsible for the company's actions externally. It's a different and more formal role that requires specific legal procedures to change." I continued, while the title of CEO can be changed informally within the company, altering the representative director involves complex legal processes. That's why your position didn't carry the legal weight you assumed it did. 3 months ago, when Arthur was appointed CEO, there was strong opposition from Vivian, David, and veteran employees. That's when I proposed a strategy. Arthur would be a figurehead CEO, while Mr. Davies remained the legally responsible representative director. As someone familiar with company procedures and laws, I knew the complexities involved. Under my plan, if Arthur showed genuine dedication and won over all employees, then we would initiate the legal process to formalize his presidency. However, if Arthur failed to prove himself fit for the role, the backup plan was to either remove him or even consider closing the company, while Vivian and David prepared to launch a new venture. Vivian had doubted Arthur's ability to change. Mr. Davies and Eleanor continued to believe in Arthur until he unfairly dismissed me, which seemed to awaken them to his shortcomings. If you want to be a leader, learn and take care of your employees. I've told you this many times. Mr. Davies emphasized. Arthur retorted, it's not a big deal, right? Can't we just handle the procedures now? No, it's not possible, Mr. Davies explained. Our company offers stocks to employees who want them, and many of them own shares. Clara owns 10%, making her a major shareholder. We can't disregard her views, and other shareholders won't support you either. As Arthur began to understand the gravity of the situation, his face paled. What? I don't have any shares. None. I plan to pass on my shares to you once you proved yourself as CEO. I'm deeply disappointed in you. Were you only interested in my wealth, thinking I didn't have much time left? Mr. Davies slumped in despair, and Eleanor remained silent, visibly upset. Defiantly, Arthur responded, well, I'm the eldest son. What's wrong with taking what's rightfully mine? The company belongs to me. I can't forgive you anymore, Mr. Davies said, his voice firm. The chairman bears full responsibility as the representative director of this company. Moreover, I'm a shareholder. I have the right to call for a shareholders' meeting and propose your removal. I asserted firmly. Arthur's face drained of color as he grasped the implication of removal. You mean I could be fired? But you were just a clerk, Clara. Arthur, Clara is right. At this point, no one will support you. Clara was the only one who spoke up to give you a chance, Eleanor interjected. Then, Eleanor turned to me. Clara, I owe you a sincere apology. I regret causing you trouble because of my misguided love for my son. Please tell me what you'd like to do. I confronted Arthur directly. Mr. Arthur, I no longer wish to work under your leadership, so I am resigning immediately. However, I expect to receive my severance pay along with 1 month's salary, including unpaid overtime and holiday pay. As a shareholder, I will also take action through the Labor Standards Office to remove anyone who is detrimental to the company. I spoke calmly, and as I did, Arthur's complexion shifted from pale to completely white. Continuing, I informed them how Vivian had been actively visiting clients and successfully promoting our new company. Many clients had already decided to switch from our current company to the new one, and most of our employees were planning to follow suit. That's impossible. I'll sue you. Arthur threatened, his voice cracking. But Mr. Davies intervened firmly. I am the representative director. You have no such authority. Arthur collapsed to his knees, and I felt a mix of emotions, regret, disappointment, and a sense of closure. Mr. Arthur, it's unfortunate it had to end this way. If you had changed your approach upon returning, things might have been different. There were ample opportunities for understanding if you had made efforts to learn and adapt. Ultimately, it was you yourself who squandered those chances, a classic case of reaping what one sows. Aftermath and new beginnings. In the aftermath, Mr. Davies decided to shut down Stellar Construction, leaving Arthur unemployed. Arthur's wife attempted to sell her premium ergonomic posture correctors, but it didn't succeed. They faced legal issues for aggressive sales tactics and were eventually arrested for involvement in a pyramid scheme. When Vivian returned to her parents' home, she found boxes of unsold posture correctors left behind. As for Serena, she found employment elsewhere, although the specifics are unknown. I now work happily at Vivian's and David's new company, Stellar Solutions. I cherish my relationships with others and strive to live authentically each day. I have translated your transcript into English, removed the timestamps, and made several changes to the names and specific details to ensure it's a unique adaptation. I've aimed to keep the core narrative and emotional impact intact. I hope this version meets your expectations.